Welcome to Unfiltered Summit Sisters. I'm Gina.
And I'm Julia.
We are two ride-or-die best friends who are paving the path for what true, authentic relationships look like.
We're facing hardships head-on, having real, uncensored conversations, supporting each other's growth, and shining a light on true, raw healing.
We are navigating the world the best we know how.
Having a hell of a time doing it.
Laughing every step of the way.
Through the rain
and sunshine.
This is Canyon Culture.
Welcome back to Unfiltered Summit Sisters. Today we've got a topic because we've had a sad experience, but it's been kind of a eye-opening blessing, which I think is how God works, right? So we had a close friend of ours whose dad passed away. And we are a family and a community, and we all have this same, how do we support you? What does that look like for everybody? And one of the things that both you and I felt really strongly about is attending the funeral. Yes. We've never met this man. But the friends, our friends, the father's son, whatever, they have shown up for us time and time again and have become really special people to us. And so we got our kids all dolled up, dressed in their best to represent our community and just to go be there with them and to love on them and all the things. But getting 11 kids ready for church, right? Like church kind of, like we went to a church, so we all had to, it wasn't jammy day.
Right.
Is a lot. It's a lot to do. And can I just say we made it on time and some?
Yeah, we did. We made it we made it early enough for everybody to go potty before we sat down.
And like look at the nice things that they had in the foyer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that was the second Saturday in a row that we've had all 11 kids ready to go and arrived at our destination with plenty of time.
The weekend before that, we had Grandpa's wedding.
Yeah.
Which was so fun. That man, I admire and respect that man so much. He and I are not super close in a way that I don't know how to explain it. We're not super close. But he has just accepted us and welcomed us into the family. And that man has lost 2 wives before this. Wives who he loved and served with all of his heart and not lost them in a like quick and these women suffered and he walked with them through all of that.
So graciously, he was so elegant about it. Just so much love.
And I haven't walked that, and I am very aware of that. And so I cannot even imagine the pain and the dark that man has walked through. So to get to go to his wedding, to his beautiful bride who was full of so much joy and just so freaking cute. It was such a good time. It was so cool to be there. But it was odd that we had a wedding. Yeah. And then 7 days later we had a funeral.
So with, us going to a funeral, I was I was feeling frazzled, right? Like just getting my kids out the door, Thomas was being difficult. I felt frazzled, but I was like, I need to talk to the kids about how to behave at a funeral. We went to grandpa's, like my grandma, but the grandpa whose wedding that we went to, the last time we went to a funeral was hers. With all the kids. That's the last funeral I went to, and they were little, and there was emotions and all these things, and I was like, I got to talk to him about this. And so we get in the car and we're just kind of settling in, and you just automatically just go into this teaching mode that to me, I was just like, she's my partner. Does that make sense? Like I felt loved and seen by God because he was like, you're frazzled. I know you want to talk about it, but like, I also want to remind you that like you have Julia and you guys are gifts to each other. And so I didn't even have to communicate to you like, hey, let's talk to the kids about this. You started that even though it was already on my mind and I wasn't in the headspace. Yeah. And I want you to talk about that, but I just wanted you to know how, for me, that was such a special moment, not because of what you taught, but that you took the opportunity to teach all of our kids that, and that it mirrored how I felt. It was just one of those moments where I was just like, we are doing the life we are supposed to be doing together. Yes. That God intended. Yes. And I was just so grateful for you in that moment. And everything you taught our kids is beyond what I would have wanted to say. So I was just like, next time you have issues, you're going to your other mother because I don't want to do it anymore. Okay, so we were in the car and you were like, are you okay if I talk to the kids about this? I was like,
Yeah, I had, so that morning, it's just, first of all, it's just weird to have friends who have parents passing away, because you and I
Yeah.
live in La La Land, that's never happening to
our
our
parents aren't
ever.
dying. No.
I've also told my parents this and told them, you better hold up your freaking end of the deal here.
I know you didn't make this agreement. We made it for you, but you may not go
Ever. Anyway, so I was having lots of big emotions and just seeing our friends hurt.
Yeah.
Right? That's hard.
Yeah.
And I spent time with God that morning before getting everybody ready, and he brought a verse to mind in Romans that says, rejoice with those who rejoice and mourn with those who mourn. We are called to grieve with those who grieve, to mourn with those who mourn, but a lot of us weren't taught how to do that. We get into a situation and we want to fix it, or we want to be really busy serving.
Yeah.
And we're not taught how to just sit with someone because it's uncomfortable, because that grief is just uncomfortable under your skin, right? But we're called to do that. And so it's really important that we teach our children how to do that.
Yeah. Well, it makes them more empathetic.
Yes.
It teaches them to be more kind humans and how to be soft.
Right.
And how to be good friends.
Yes.
Not that serving isn't a way to be a good friend, but sometimes you just need that hug and someone to just hold you for as long as you need it.
Right.
And to not fix it.
Because ultimately you can't fix it.
That's not fixable.
Right.
The fixing that happens, Christ already did, but that pain doesn't go away.
Right. But it's having somebody to sit next to you while God and I work through this pain, while we figure out how the hell I'm going to survive this. I need you to sit with me and hold my hand. I'm going to do the work. I'm going to partner with him, but I need you to sit with me so I'm not alone.
Yeah. And so I love that that's what you taught the kids. So it was, you did touch base over, and I loved it, just how to behave there, because.
Yeah, so let me go over a little. I want to go over more of what we said in the car.
Well, because with the music, I'm like the music we were listening to, at the beginning, I was like, should we listen to something else? But then you were like, get it out now. I'm like, that's the right answer.
So also, we load up in my 12 passenger, which is what we do anytime we're going somewhere where all of us are going. So we load up in the 12 passenger, and I talk to you and say, is it, I have some stuff I feel like I want to talk to the kids about and share with them. Is that okay with you? And so we, turn the music down and just tell them there's some stuff that I want to go over with you guys. And so we talked about, what did we do last week? What did we do last Saturday? We went to a wedding.
I love that you started it that way.
Yeah, we got to celebrate. We got to rejoice.
We got to dance. We got to get loud and rowdy. And
yes.
wiggle.
And we did. Like we brought that dance party.
We opened and we shut down that church club.
You're welcome, Grandpa. And then I asked them, what are we going to do today? And they said, we're going to a funeral. And that's when I brought up the Bible verse of, we're called to rejoice with those who rejoice, which is what we did last week. And this week, we're called to mourn with those who mourn. And that's what we're doing this week. That's why we're showing up to a funeral of a man that we've never met, but someone who is really important to people who are really important to us, and people who are hurting. And so we talked a little bit about the importance of that. We talked about how, going there, people are going to be sad and people are going to be crying, and that's okay. And if you feel sad and if you cry, that's okay too.
Yeah, giving them that space is important, because sometimes growing up, crying was a weakness for both of us. We were taught that don't cry, suck it up. Tears are a weakness leaving your body, or something. I don't know.
Right.
Or strength. I don't know what it was. Something negative. But yeah, I was always just like, nope, toughen up, don't cry. And we're learning that crying is important.
And I think it's sometimes comforting to the person who is grieving to have someone cry with them. Yeah. There's some power in that. So telling the kids, if you feel sad and you cry, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's comforting to the people who love this man so dearly and who are going to miss him so much here on earth. And so we talked a lot about the importance of that. And then we just went over some etiquette, because
there's 11 of them.
There's 11 of them and their children, and it's a funeral. And let me just tell you, the last time that we went to funerals, there were a lot of questions. So let me go over that. So my great grandparents passed away, and on that side of the family, they have open caskets. And that was going to be the first open casket that my kids had seen. And so I thought I prepared them well for it, and I did not. I failed. So we walk into the casket is in a room. This is how it works for my family, for us.
Okay.
There's a room that has a casket, and that room is a very reverent room. The family is in that room, and you can walk through to pay your respects. But then people will hang out kind of in the lobby after you've paid your respects.
Right.
And so we go to walk through, and the questions begin. Mom, why does she have a pillow if she's dead?
Valid.
Mom, why did they put makeup on her if she's dead? And just
yeah.
Right? So, this time
prepared them all for that.
Prepared them a little bit more. If you want to walk through and see the body, this is a time to be really reverent. This is a time to give family hugs. This is not the time for questions. If you have questions, we're happy to address those outside of the room or outside of the building. We're going to hold questions for an appropriate space.
Well, then there's also this concern that we have dark humor. May or may not have rubbed off on our children. Right? So like there would have, so I feel like the questions would have been asked in a more sarcastic tone, like, why does she need a pillow if she's dead? In a more joking matter instead of a curious matter, right? So you definitely had to address, like, not a place for our dark humor. That is at home jokes.
Yes. Yeah. And then, so, we had a great time of talking about what the Bible calls us to do, what God calls us to do, how we're going to, exactly tangible ways that we're going to mourn with this family and be there for them. Then we talked about etiquette, and then we blasted music, and everybody danced and screamed, sang, and I was like, get it all out now here.
Because we ain't doing it there.
And it was, looking back, I'm so freaking proud of our kids.
They did great.
All did such an amazing job.
It was like an hour-long service, which is a lot. It is a lot, and it's not exciting. It's people talking about a person they've never met.
Right.
But I will say,
and it's different. That was our first LDS funeral to attend. So we had new experiences.
Yeah.
And it was really cool just to see and experience how it was done, and the service was so beautiful.
They did a great job.
It was so beautiful. They had all the grandkids get up on stage at one point. That was sang a song, and there were some grandkids that were really emotional, and I was really proud of all the grandkids that were brave enough to get up there.
I think that was all of the living grandkids except for one who was serving her mission.
Yes,
which I think is awesome.
Yeah,
I don't know if you were able to see when the family came in. The family that we know with the casket. So when our friends came in with their kids, some of the kids caught eyes with our kids. And I think that was the beginning where they saw that they were there.
Yes.
And I was just so glad that they knew that we were there from the beginning.
Yes.
But anyway, the look on the little boys' faces when they saw us. And it's, again, our sadness is for them. It's not because we are losing anything personally. And so our kids are waving, hi. And I was like, great. But quiet.
Right.
But they're waving, hey buddy, how's it going?
Yeah.
Anyway, continue.
Where's the food? I'm like, shh.
I mean, yes, but
another thing that I really loved is that we weren't the only neighbors that showed up. There were other neighbors that came and showed up, and it was an emotional day, but I was also filled with so much gratitude at the same time of this is our community. This is our family. When people say it takes a village, this is our
We are getting to live that. We are living that in such an intense way that because what was it? The next day was when you were stranded up the mountain, and I mean, that's a whole other podcast.
That's a whole other.
We'll just skip through. You had a stranger text a couple of us down that once they got service,
right? And
Grugs came to rescue you.
Yep.
Right. So it's funerals, birthdays, weddings, abandoned in the mountains. We all show up. We show up for each other.
That's what we do.
And it's one of those things. I was having a really hard time with Thomas. He ran away for the first time. We all found him. We sat and we all came back to the porch after I was, locked him away. And the conversation was, what do we need to do? And I don't think they realized what that was.
Yeah.
But that was so mean. I was crying because I was so overwhelmed, but at the same time, I didn't feel alone. And there's times I call on you with Thomas stuff, and you're just we'll figure it out. You use we as well. And so that community, when there's issues that one of us are dealing with, and that person's willing to bring it to everybody else's attention, it's a we.
Yeah.
And I think that us showing up for the funeral was really powerful to show that we are here
Mm-hmm.
for you.
I love that.
I love that you and I are like, this is our tribe. And I'm like, we're watching a mini tribe
Yes.
of these teenagers.
And we're teaching them, this is how we do life together. In the good, in the bad, in the happy, in the sad. This is what we do.
And I like that just brings so much light to my soul because, again, birthdays, celebrations, and we got to experience funerals. These kids are showing up for each other.
We've literally done all of that in like 2.5 weeks.
We really did. Slamming it in. Really wrapping up the summer with a nice purple bow. I don't know why it's purple, but it's fine. But that's something like I hope that these like that's part of just I just love this little community that we've got, and that these teenagers are showing up for each other, and they're doing that because they watch us show up for each other, and we teach them, and you take the opportunities to teach them about it. To watch our friends be sad is sad, but then get to like hold them and love them.
But yeah, and what a privilege and honor that we get to be in that space with them, that sacred space to sit with them through that.
I'm really grateful that you partner with God so well, and that I don't think I'm gonna find a partner. I think I'm gonna be alone forever because I'm just sitting here going like, nobody's gonna show up. Like, I get surprised. I'm like, she did it better than I would. Like, how often are you in a partnership where you're like, they're perfect? You know what I mean?
I think one thing I really love about us doing life together and about our partnerships is that you and I step in like that at different times. And most of the time it's when the other one really needs it. Yeah. And it's never, the other person never feels intimidated by it. It's never you're doing a better job than I am or you're a better mom than I am. It's exactly when it needs to be. And it's, I don't know, the best way to describe it is just like relief and some weights off of like, thank you.
I don't
Thank
have
you
to carry
for
this
stepping
one.
in there. You got this one. Thank you.
Well, I think the intimidation is going to be coming from our male counterparts. That's what I'm saying, right? Like, I'm going to be with a partner and just be like, this is what you've got to live up to. Like, you've got to show up better than she does.
Good luck with it. I am grateful for our community, for our village. Like you said, it doesn't matter if it's birthdays or weddings or celebrations or funerals or moving. Our community shows up. It's what we do. Yeah. And I am incredibly thankful for that God placed us here and gave us this and let us become part of it.
I'm so grateful that you partner with God so that you can have your heart in the right spot to show up for all of our kids and teach them the things that they need to hear and give them. And I'm as much as we've talked about this before, trials, it's weird and it feels a little odd to be grateful for trials. But I do believe that God has a purpose for all of it. So I am so sad that our friend lost his dad. But I'm so grateful for the opportunity that we got to teach our kids and grow and learn and show up for them and strengthen our friendship by showing them that we're here for you always. Yeah. So I'm grateful for that opportunity and that experience. That whole day, I'm grateful for that day.
I love that. It's going to be great.
Is it nap time now? Do we get to go sleep?
And food.
Indian food.
Until next time.
Welcome to Unfiltered Summit Sisters. I'm Gina.
And I'm Julia.
We are two ride or die best friends who are paving the path for what true, authentic relationships look like.
We're facing hardships head on, having real, uncensored conversations, supporting each other's growth, and shining a light on true, raw healing.
We are navigating the world the best we know how.
Having a hell of a time doing it.
Laughing every step of the way.
Through the rain
and sunshine.
This is Canyon Culture.